world as we know it. It's the end of the world as we know it. And I feel fine. 6 o'clock TV hour, don't get caught in foreign towers. Slash and burn, return, listen to yourself churn. Locking in, uniform and book, burning blood, letting every motive escalate. Automotive incinerate, light a candle, light a motor, step down, watching heel crush, uh-oh, this means no fear. Cavalier, renegade, steer clear, a tournament of lies. Offer me solutions, offer me alternatives, and I decline. It's the end of the world as we know it. It's the end of the world as we know it. It's the end of the world as we know it. And I feel fine. It's the end of the world as we know it. It's the end of the world as we know it. It's the end of the world as we know it. I feel fine. The other night I drifted nice, continental drifted by mountain, sit in a line. Leonard Bernstein, Leonard Brezhnev, Lenny Bruce and Lester Banks, birthday party, cheesecake, jelly bean, boom, music, symbiotic, patriotic, slam, button, nap, right? Right. It's the end of the world as we know it. It's the end of the world as we know it. It's the end of the world as we know it. And I feel fine. It's the end of the world as we know it. It's the end of the world as we know it. It's the end of the world as we know it. And I feel fine. It's the end of the world as we know it. It's the end of the world as we know it. It's the end of the world as we know it. And I feel fine. It's the end of the world as we know it. It's the end of the world as we know it. It's the end of the world as we know it. And I feel fine.
Hello once again, people, doomers and collapseologists, everyone out there. It is music for the end of the world. Here on 93.7 Edge FM. I'm Chris, and I'm joined once again in the studio by Cass.
Good evening, everyone.
And this week, we'll be playing a few tunes. One from Radical Sun, who we saw just last weekend at the Cobargo Folk Festival.
Fantastic.
Fantastic. His voice is, wow. Yeah. People say Barry White's got a good voice. Man, Radical Sun. Oh, just to hear him talk. We've got Radical Sun, and we've got a Charles Mamarosa song we saw in Canberra a week or two before that. He's on a tour around New South Wales, Victoria, I think. Is that right,
I
Dave?
think he's doing his album launch.
Album launch, that's
Second
right.
album launch.
One of our favourite artists from the Solomon Islands. But tonight, normally I do a little recap of what's been happening in the world of collapse, and we sort of focus on one or two topics of it. But this week, and some of next week too, I recorded a conversation with Kate and Tristan, two lovely people who founded JustCollapse, the activist group down in Tasmania. And I recorded a conversation with them on the weekend, and so I will be replaying part of it, half of it, tonight, and next week we'll finish off with the other part of it. They're really, really interesting. They talk about what their JustCollapse group does, and also their own personal opinions and beliefs. So, without further ado, I think we should get straight into the conversation. So I think we started off with me asking Kate and Tristan just to quickly give a brief blurb about their backgrounds, what they do. So here it is. Kate and Tristan from JustCollapse. The listeners?
Yeah, I'm an associate professor in human geography at the University of Tasmania, and I research things like insurance in a changing climate, which is relevant to a lot of people at the moment because of escalating premiums and the loss of insurability in some places.
And I'm an activist. I've been an activist for as long as I can remember, really, since a little kid. And I suppose that over the course of my activist journey, that I ended up falling into the collapse space eventually, and now identify as a collapsologist.
Okay. I've heard that term before.
A student of collapse. Mm.
Oh, okay. And when did you two start JustCollapse?
Yeah, well, we were involved with Extinction Rebellion. I was the state coordinator for Extinction Rebellion in Tasmania, and in the process of being part of the rebellion, Kate joined and was one of the action coordinators briefly, and we set about trying to fulfill our agenda in that space. And it was partly in the process of that we came to the realization that a lot of us thought that the fight to prevent catastrophic climate change had already failed, and that what we really needed to be doing was wrapping our heads around the inevitability of collapse.
Yeah, so the pandemic hit in 2020, and we had a lot of time to talk about things, the state of the world, have a look at the science and the latest research. And it was during that first year of the pandemic that things started to crystallize around the idea of JustCollapse and a just collapse.
Yeah, so we thought...
So when you came to, like, I sort of think of it as like not an epiphany, but when I realised what's going on in the future, and that was probably, for me, it was when we were living in the Solomons, probably our last year in the Solomons, 2018, maybe, reading Catherine Ingram's essay on extinction. I don't know if you read it, but that sort of just crystallised everything I was thinking about, and that's when I put down the moment. I always knew things were not hunky-dory, but she's a great writer, and she just put everything so eloquently. Was that about the same time for you two to come to the realization of the predicament that we're in?
Well, I think we've both, I'll let Tristan speak for himself, but we've both had a decades-long awareness of the potential severity of the impacts of global industrial civilization and the affluent West on the biosphere.
Yeah.
So I remember reading Jared Diamond's book Collapse when I must have been in my 20s, and it reinforced a sense that I had from doing environmentalism that if things didn't change radically, that's where we were heading. But yeah, it was, you said 2018 and we said 2019 when it was like, oh, well, that time is now.
Yeah. And how's the university deal with your views, Kate? Like, are they quite okay with it? Because you don't hear about ecological overshoot and collapse in the mainstream media or from anyone really. How do they deal with your views?
Well, we've got freedom of academic speech at the University of Tasmania. That's my experience.
Yep.
Some people I don't think are particularly like the kind of ideas.
No, a lot of people don't like it.
My research team and I talk about and we investigate. But I work with lots of people who have they're experts in ecology, the environment, systems thinking, climate change, and many of those people are, aware through their research and their expertise that things are in a dire situation.
Because you don't,
Yeah.
I'm always on the lookout for particularly scientists, scientific people who are in the know with information. And a lot of them, they tend to skirt around the issue, I reckon, in their particular field, say, whatever, but they don't, like Bill Reeves, they don't actually come out and say, hey, this is it, we're all
Yeah.
going off the cliff. There is no going back. And I just wonder, is that because there's a lot of pressure on them, maybe with their work, research, grants, that sort of stuff, like from higher up? Or surely
I think
people
I think
must realise it. Surely, if you're a scientific person.
yeah, I think it's a complex thing for people to address and face head on for social reasons, for personal psychological reasons, for
Yeah.
potentially professional reasons. And that's one reason why I think that we think in JustCollapse that our work is so important, because we have a position and now a platform to actually say the hard things, to join that long history since, for example, the limits to growth in the 1970s of people standing up and giving an honest assessment and evaluation and a fearless assessment and an evaluation. And it's not just us that are doing this. There's a whole network of people and groups around the world who are becoming more and more vocal in this
there are
space.
more happening. There are more starting all the time, isn't there? I know there's a group in Sweden, and that's why I like JustCollapse, because I always finish my show with your collapse is inevitable, but justice is not. And that's what I love about JustCollapse, is that it outlines our predicament that we're in, but it doesn't mean that you give up. You can still hang your hat on something. There's still something to fight for.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
And I think
Thank
that's
you.
important to have, because most people, when you talk to them about it, you will probably be the same as me, is they go, oh man, it's so depressing. I don't want to think about it. Oh, I just give up,
Yes, well, that's the irony of the name there. When we thought of JustCollapse, we thought, of course, there's dual meanings there. That just collapse.
Yeah.
And then the Act for Socio-Ecological Justice within
Yes.
the context of collapse.
Yeah.
There, as you say, Chris, there's still a lot to fight for.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And that's probably my biggest thing, is because, and I've also taken away from you guys, is because people say, what can you do? And well, the biggest thing really is talking about it. Just talking to people. It's like you say, changing the zeitgeist, trying to get the understanding out there, I suppose. So that's why I do the radio show. It's a lot of fun. I play music too, but as a platform, and a lot of people think I'm a bit crazy and stuff, but it doesn't really matter, because at least I'm doing something. I don't know if it's going to make any sort of incremental thing, but at least I feel as if I'm doing something useful.
Yes, that too. But yeah, no, I'm sure you are. That all of these efforts feed into the zeitgeist, and it's one of these things that you never know when it's going to tip. Like, for example, with I'm sure nobody looks back and thinks to themselves that for example, women getting the vote. I'm sure everybody just went, oh yeah, I was always for women having the vote. Once it had happened. But there's a long period, a vast long period, when it was considered to be ridiculous to be talking about women voting, and then it flipped and it happened. So, with working within the zeitgeist, you're hoping that after a period of time that the environment and the social constructs within it reach this kind of critical tipping point, and that a general awareness will emerge. But
eventually it will, won't it, Tristan? I mean, eventually everyone's going to be confronted by it, man. You know, you're going to hit the bottom at some time. I mean, it's going to happen. It's just, trying to make people a little bit aware, like you say, a softer sort of descent maybe. And we're a little bit prepared for what's coming, you know? I mean, no one can be fully prepared for it. But
no, and in that regard, of course, this is happening in different places differently. And so in the first world, we're fairly, or a lot of people are fairly inured by their privilege, and that isn't the case in other parts of the world who are really feeling the impacts dreadfully.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, and considering that, you know, the first world has the greatest impact on the biosphere, that you know, it's sort of, there is an onus on the people of the first world to recognize the structural violence of their own privilege, and that's an aspect of socio-ecological justice to take stock of just how good we do have it, while collapse is happening much worse for other people elsewhere.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I talk about on the show. We're all complacent when we're all part of the human experiment here on this planet. So we're all part of the problem. But the richer you are, really, that's the more you have contributed to the situation in a way. All right, that was the start of my conversation with Kate and Tristan from JustCollapse. Really interesting people, and really, really, really nice people too. I think it's time for some music, Cass. And I know that you did love Radical Sun up there at Cabargo. And what a great festival.
Oh, Cabargo
Was there more
Festival.
people this year than last year?
I think they're saying it's their most successful, and what a fantastically run
Hats off to Cabargo.
Everything about it, just from and just channeling the whole community spirit, really amazing.
They had things for kids. They had everything. It was...
fantastic recycling, lots of, you know, good space, good places, good vibe. Yeah. Yeah. But Radical Sun, fantastic. So he
was a highlight for me, I think.
And he was sort of launching, not launching directly, but his, I can't remember if it's his third or fourth album, but he's a really interesting musician. So First Nations Australian, comes from Sydney, from
Penrith, I think he was saying. But I think part of his heritage is down here. I think he mentioned Wallagoot.
Yeah, he grew up around Wallagoot. He seemed to have spent a lot of time here, and he's part First Nations, part Tongan. Yeah, and what an incredible voice. And so it's always unfortunate, I think, because I don't think that's one of the things, isn't it? As much as modern technology, you know, can do fantastic things, sometimes you can't capture the uniqueness. You can't beat live music, babe. A live performance. Basically, that's it. Hopefully people unfortunately, we don't have him in the studio here. Maybe one day he will come in. But for now, Human Behaviour, Radical Sun.
behavior. This my word to shame. Human behavior. Would you feel my pain? Human behavior. Said I'd never do that again. What is this weakness in me? It gets hard just to control myself. Don't know if I'll ever change the way I'm appearing. My behavior, I cannot explain. Human behavior, this my word to shame. Human behavior, na 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 na. Human behavior. Human behavior, I cannot explain. Human behavior, there's my word to shame. Human behavior, human behavior. Human behavior.
Radical Son. I got to say, it just doesn't give justice to his voice when you hear it played from
No, it doesn't.
CD. That's right. Yeah.
But, you know, again, like you can look out for him when he's touring around, because he's travelling and playing around up and down the coast and Sydney, Victoria. Go and see him.
Yeah.
It's great.
Really well worth it. Okay, you're listening to 93.7 Edge FM. This is music for the end of the world, where we talk all things collapse, doomers, and play some cool things. And we're talking to Tristan and Kate tonight from JustCollapse down in Tasmania. But before we continue with that, let's have a quick word from our lovely sponsors.
Better Home Living Bega is the only place to shop for all your electrical appliances. With a huge showroom boasting a great range of white goods, televisions, small appliances, and a fantastic cooking showroom with all the big brands. Plus, they're also an Apple reseller and Weber barbecue specialist and a J-Car stockist. Call in and see the experienced staff or shop online at better.com.au. Better Home Living Bega, 95 Auckland Street, Bega. Proud sponsors of Edge FM.
Bega Independent Batteries are a proudly Australian company and not only supply all types of batteries, but quality off-grid kits, solar pumps and more to the southeast coast of New South Wales and northern Victoria. They supply all types of batteries and associated products, everything from marine, aeroplane and automobile, through to trucks, RVs, caravans, golf carts and smaller consumable batteries. Their aim is to provide quality products at the best possible prices. Give them a ring on 0436 460 460 or check out the website at www.ibsbega.com.au. Bega Independent Batteries sponsor 93.7 Edge FM.
Thank you, dear sponsors. Okay, without further ado, let's get back to my chat with Kate and
Do you
Tristan.
think the ultra rich, like the super rich, they had the meeting in Davos just recently, right? And all these billionaires, I mean, they would have access to the best information, the latest findings. Do you think, your opinion, do you think they know, like what we're talking about, they understand the predicament?
I think, hazard a guess. It's like, yeah, sure, but they're also human beings, so I imagine when we see it from some of them, there's also a denial. There's ideas about techno fixes that will get us out. There's one person prominent in the United States, particularly at the moment, we couldn't, whose name shall not be spoken, who is absolutely fixated on a very, I guess you describe it as an eco-modernist, elitist approach to things. So there is definitely awareness there, but also complete delusion about potential responses and solutions to it. Yeah,
I'd say without doubt people definitely know, but it's the quality of their awareness might not be perhaps as deep as you or I in this regard. That some think that they can. There's a plethora of underground buildings being in New Zealand, bunkers in New Zealand, and people in Tasmania as well. There's people hiding out here as well. Hoping to, this is part of the bargaining process of thinking that somehow, you'll be able to escape if you just get the right bunker and fit it out with the right stuff. But, this is the thing, is there is no planet B.
No.
despite that's
right.
Elon's
he said his name.
Yes.
Don't say it 3 times.
And also, I mean, as you know, so many things have to change, right? Like the way that we organize society, everything, like you were saying, Kate, with our neoliberal capitalist system, the world is organized in now, is completely, against what we need to do, really, and
thoroughly unsustainable.
Exactly, and all the rich people, the super rich people, have got so much tied up. I mean, their own wealth and is tied up in having the system continue and not change. That could be a little bit of a motivating factor for them as well, in terms of not doing anything.
Well, this is why, on top of the Talk Collapse campaign, we've launched this unsustainability campaign, where we're asking people to call out all the things that are unsustainable, that present themselves, because there are so many false solutions that are being thrown out there that only exacerbate the predicament. I mean, people think, even if we could solve climate change, that, let's say people say, oh, here's a solution, is somehow clean, green, ecological energy that has no deleterious effects on the biosphere. Sure, dream on. But anyway, let's assume, for example, what would that success look like? Let's imagine that climate solved. We've got all this clean, free energy, renewable energy. Problem solved? No, not at all. Not at all. That is still a scenario for collapse. And this is part of a problem. This is a part of the problem, is people don't recognize the true intractable nature of the predicament, and so they get lost in all kinds of solutionism that just causes more problems.
Like an article I read recently about, this writer was talking about carbon tunnel vision, where you've got all the other planetary boundaries and all the other stuff that's happening. They're just fixating on CO2 and emissions, and it's and like Bill Rees says, if you and you said, Tristan, if you concentrate on one thing, you're most likely to exacerbate the actual whole predicament. Yeah.
There's research looking at human fertility decline.
Yes.
And it shows that this is termed spermageddon, because
I like that spermageddon.
The number of viable little swimmers has been declining steadily, and is now, it looks like it's accelerating so much.
This is all around the world, right, Kate?
Yeah, this is a piece of international research that looked at this issue internationally. And if we follow the accelerating trend, we're looking at a lack of human fertility sometime mid-century, which is gobsmackingly sobering. That's even if climate change wasn't a thing.
Yeah.
And there's questions about what's driving that, but environmental toxicity appears to be a really obvious explanation for that.
Yeah. And we've already put so much plastic into the water and the sky and the oceans and the land that we can't feasibly get it back out again. And so all those PFAS and forever chemicals and endocrine disrupting this and that are already in the system. That we've toxified the planet, and
it's other species as well, obviously being impacted.
Well, that's the greater tragedy too, I suppose, isn't it? Like, I mean, we talk about it like it's the Homo sapiens, but really it's us, and we're taking most of everything else down with us.
Yeah, well, this mass extinction event that we're actually right in the middle of, beginning, is happening so much faster than we're doing in decades and centuries. What in the past has taken tens and tens of thousands of years. Even the end Permian extinction, the big one, that took many tens of thousands of years to unfold. And we're doing it in a flash,
isn't it, Tristan? That's the one that people don't really get. I've spoken many times.
I know.
So it's like,
yes. Oh, good on you. Good on you. I hope that people. Do you get much feedback?
Well, I have a lot of friends who listen to it, and
great.
Have had one or two crazy people ring up saying that I'm working for some government or something, and what about the chemtrails in the sky and
awesome
stuff like that.
I'm still waiting for my check from the fossil fuel industry.
Yeah, we've been accused of being fossil fuel shills on numerous occasions, and we're still waiting for the paycheck.
But I think most people, a lot of the information I've spoken to, which is what we're speaking about today, they haven't heard before, and they're interested and surprised by it, and it gives them, food for thought. To, like you say, Kate, it's a very human psychological thing to deal with information. When you say we do,
people find it very confronting sometimes. People get angry. People lash out. The people accuse you of doing this, that, or the other, and and that's all understandable and part of either the cognitive dissonance that they just can't accept or process this, or they there's for self-preservation, that in terms of protecting themselves and their psychology. There's numerous reasons why people struggle to understand, but not everybody has to recognize, and I've found that quite a lot of people actually know, they just don't wear it on their sleeve. But you talk to average people, and I'm surprised, go down to the RSL and have a couple of beers and start talking to somebody, and they go, "Oh, really? You think that? Oh, okay, interesting."
I think.
Yes, that's continuing on our conversation with Kate and Tristan. They're so eloquent, Cass, and we've spoken about most of the things the conversation is about here on the radio over the past months. And I hadn't heard of a spermageddon before, which I thought was quite interesting. Unfortunately, it's not just humans which global fertility is going down. It's most species, definitely mammals. Yeah. It's not good, people. All right, we'll continue the conversation in a little bit, but first I think it's time for some more music, babe. And you did request Charles Mamarosa, who we did see in Canberra, 2-3 weeks ago?
Yep.
Yeah. And he's from Malaita, isn't he, in the Solomon Islands?
Yeah, and really, really interesting. So I think he's released his second album, which is called Hote Hote, and it's about his journey both physical, spiritual journey from moving from the Solomon Islands to Australia, and so he sings in language, in Ariari language, and plays traditional instruments, and he plays his pipes. I can't remember on Wote if they've got that, but yeah, he's really it's beautiful music, and even though you don't understand, you obviously he's not singing in English.
No,
is that you can understand? You have a great connection with the sentiment of the song.
I think he's singing in Ariari. I think is what he's singing in, and actually he's got his panpipes through some effect on this song. Wote Wote sounds really, really good. And he's touring at the moment too, people, so keep your eyes open for Charles Mamarosa. So here it is, Wote Wote by Charles.
What day? Takorascani, yeah. What te Takorascani, hey. What te Takorascani, hey.
Charles Mamarosa with Wote Wote. It's from his new album, Hote Hote. So look out for him. He's touring around the place, regional New South Wales and Victoria. You're listening to 93.7 Edge FM here on Music for the End of the World with myself, Chris, and my trusty studio buddy, Cass. I think we need to have one more message from our sponsors, babe, and then we're back to it.
If you want the SP on spare parts, see the experienced team at Parts for Bega. It's the place to lob if you've lost a nut or a knob, or call 64925212. Your Parts for store is a candy shop and more for the motoring enthusiast. There's parts galore at your local Parts for store. Parts for Bega is a proud sponsor of 93.7 Edge FM.
E2B Phone Repairs has been servicing the Bega Valley since 2013. E2B repair mobile phones, tablets of all brands and replace screens, batteries, buttons, sensors, cameras and all digital devices. E2B Phone Repairs has completed over 10,000 repairs in the 8 years of business, and all our repairs come with a 6 months warranty. E2B Phone Repairs has a full retail shop in Eden and also repair once a week in Bega. Give E2B Phone Repairs a call on 0490 010 109 if you need your broken phone or tablet screen fixed. That's 0490 010 109. E2B is proud sponsors of 93.7 Edge FM.
Thank you, E2B. Now, of course, every week I play a Gimme Song, babe, as you know. And this week is no exception, because we love the Gimmies here on Music for the End of the World. And this is sort of really a fairly pertinent song for the way the world is now. If you've been following the news recently, particularly over in Orangeland, over the Pacific there, this is Me First and the Gimme Gimmies with Crazy.
After 70 years, that's what he goes there for, is to unlock the door. Those around him criticize and sleep, criticize and sleep. And through a fractal on a breaking wall, I see you, my friend, and touch your face again. Miracles will happen as we tread, happen as we speak, will happen as we speak. But we're never gonna survive unless we get a little crazy. No, we're never gonna survive unless we get a little crazy. Crazy German people walking through my head. One of them's got a bear, he's yelling in my ear. David Pollock finally lost his mind. That was 5 years ago at an ESO show. But we're never gonna survive unless we get a little crazy. No, we're never gonna survive unless we get a little crazy. In a sky full of people, only some want to fly, isn't that crazy? In a world full of people, only some want to fly, isn't that crazy? crazy. In a handful of people on this earth, 1, 2 fly, isn't that crazy? Crazy! But we're never gonna survive unless we get a little crazy. No, we're never gonna survive unless we get a little crazy. But we're never gonna survive unless we get a little crazy. No, we're never gonna survive unless we get a little.
The Gimmies, they always warm my heart, babe, when I listen to one of their songs. Fantastic. Now, I don't know if you remember, Cass, that we did start 2 weeks ago a little comedy segment.
Very vaguely, I remember. Is that your little cartoon feature?
Yes. And we forgot it last week. My memory's not the best, my short-term memory. Too much fun when I was younger. So I forgot it. And that would be good if you turned your phone down.
I think that's a spam call.
It's a spam call. Those damn spammers. But I have remembered this week. Now, I don't know. Have you heard, Cass, of the dead horse theory? It's a satirical metaphor that illustrates how some individuals, institutions, organisations, or nations handle the obvious unsolvable problems. E.g., ecological overshoot, baby. Instead of accepting the reality, they cling to justifying their position and actions. Sound familiar? The dead horse theory. So the main idea is simple. If you realise you're riding a dead horse, the most sensible thing to do is to dismount and move on, I would think, babe. Mm-hmm. However, in practice, the opposite often happens, and instead of abandoning the dead horse, these people who cannot let go take actions such as buying a new saddle for the horse, improving the horse's diet, changing the rider instead of addressing the real problem. It's the jockey's fault. Firing the horse caretaker and hiring someone new, hoping for a different outcome. And this, I love this one. Holding meetings to discuss ways to increase the dead horse's speed. That's a cracker. Creating committees or task forces to analyse the dead horse problem from every angle. And these group works for months. Compile reports at great cost, I might add, and ultimately conclude the obvious. The horse is dead. Justifying efforts by comparing the horse to other similarly dead horses, concluding that the issue was a lack of training. What about proposing training programs for the horse, which means increasing the budget, of course. Redefine, this is a good one, redefining the concept of dead to convince themselves the horse still has potential. Yes, this theory highlights how many people and organisations, not to mention countries, prefer to deny reality, waste time, resources and effort on ineffective solutions instead of acknowledging the problem from the start.
I like that. I think we'll adopt that. I think there's a lot of dead horse happening within government decisions. Oh,
man, we're full of dead horse people, aren't we? Jeez, you hear about it all the time on the mainstream media. Yeah, we'll just call it dead horse from now on. That's good, yeah. Dead horse, man. Nah, don't want to listen. Okay. We're coming to the end. We will continue a little bit more with Kate and Tristan. I think I've got a few more minutes I can play, and then we're going to continue next week. But a few little comments about what's been happening. Well, it's all getting worse very fast. This is from the daily sea surface temperature. Sea surface temperatures have just reached their second highest level for this time of the year. So it looks like everyone was saying, La Nina is going to make things a little bit cooler. But it looks like La Nina is actually disappearing very, very rapidly. Yes. And then this one, this is great. Mr. Orange Man, President Donald Trump's latest war on the climate includes withdrawing support for any research that mentions the word climate. He's also launched a purge on the government websites hosting climate data. So apparently trying to make the evidence disappear, I suppose. Classic ostrich technique. Definitely a dead horse person. And it is bad for the US scientists, of course, but it also affects our scientists here in Australia and the rest of the world. And the thing is, Trump can't stop global climate action, although he might like to. He might like to slow it. And he can't hide the truth by restricting access to the data, because a lot of these global organisations, the climate research, will continue despite his efforts to hamstring the scientists and the research institutions. And as we know, last year was the warmest on record. And the world has already surpassed the 1.5 degree Celsius threshold. That was last year. I think it was the first year above 1.5, relative to the pre-industrial temperatures. And that was a threshold that only a few years ago, remember the Paris Accord? Everyone was, we're not going to reach that. We will stop it before that. It wouldn't come until 2030 at the earliest. So now it looks like we're on track to be living in a world that's 3 degrees hotter at least in another 50 years. And, of course, this is despite more than 30 years of those lovely COP meetings, which has basically just failed, really. Hasn't changed the warming trend. But ignoring climate change, as Mr. Orange Man seems to want to do, won't make it go away. And just like, for all those George Orwell fans out there, the Ministry of Truth in his classic novel 1984, Trump seems to believe that ignorance is strength. And he's trying to erase the facts about the climate crisis, perhaps to keep people ignorant and subdued.
The bad counter to that is the fact that, as we're seeing more and more often, and we're seeing at the moment in Australia, is that you can't deny the actual physical presence of the effects. The hurricanes in America, the bushfires, the cyclones, the ferocity of them is that.
Well, we've got a cyclone that's hitting.
How do you explain that away?
It's going to be affecting New South Wales, because New South Wales is a big cyclone place. When I think of cyclones, I think of New South Wales. Yeah, I know. All right, we've got a few more minutes, I think, of my talk with Kate and Tristan, who are so eloquent from JustCollapse, and then we'll be finishing off with a song tonight on Music for the End of the World. So here's a little bit more. We're talking a little bit about coming to terms with collapse, which of course is the big question. Here they are, Kate and Tristan.
All the different things that are happening, not just emissions, but all sorts of stuff. They got it in the back of their minds, but they just don't sort of look at it as the whole thing together. And that's what I've found too, is that it's a really hard thing to say that, like my grandchildren, I have a granddaughter, she's not going to reach my age. Very unlikely, I would think. Really unlikely. And that's a hard thing to process. And I think people have a big trouble. They can think it can be in the back of their minds, but if you actually have to come out and say it verbally and say it is collapse, it is the end of the world as we know it, we are all going down the burglar, that makes it real. Otherwise, it's still just sort of bubbling around theoretically in a way in your brain, in your mind,
Of Catherine Ingram.
I sort of call it the last step, like.
You mentioned Catherine Ingram before. And you mentioned Catherine Ingram before, and she has a great discussion with Sheldon Solomon, who's continuing Ernest Becker's work on denial of death, and that's a really useful thing for people to explore, because it's the denial of death is very human, and. And so there's a whole sort of psychology built into our evolution around this that makes it very difficult for people to face the reality of collapse and all it entails.
So that video covering that is on our website on the resources page.
Okay.
It's easy to find. Yep.
Yeah.
All right, excellent. Yeah, no, it's a great website, and I've spoken about it many times on the show.
Thank you.
What I find strange though is like with world leaders, they're like, you know, they have access to the best minds and all that sort of stuff, but you never hear them. Nowhere do you hear any sort of slight mention of overshoot. Just the word overshoot. Never. And it's same in the media too. I mean, you know, you have to go searching on the internet to find articles about overshoot, but it's not. And I often wonder, I mean, it's easy, and I know it's easy to go down the conspiracy theory, say, oh man, is someone, you know, not letting them do it or whatever, but maybe it's a collective sort of cognitive dissonance or something. What are your views?
It's a direct threat to the idea of economic growth. And economic growth is the
god,
the political powerhouse. That's, you know, that's what gets you elected. It's what you base all your promises and policies on. It's in most parts of the world now, at least at a governmental level. So how do you rationalize ecological overshoot and these promises of economic growth? You can't.
Because even environmental groups stay very much focused on green growth, as though growth can be divorced from material and ecological resources, and the reality is it cannot. You can have, if you had the kind of green growth that theoretically would be required to entirely transform our industrial and agricultural sectors, for example, and transport, living, etc., that would be a hypergrowth of extraction and material and ecological throughput that would the planet just simply wouldn't be able to can't take. So it's a unfortunately we're in an intractable predicament that has no solutions.
Yes, no solutions. That is the key, babe. That is part of my conversation with Kate and Tristan from JustCollapse, and I highly recommend you to have a look at their website. If you just Google JustCollapse, and it's down in Tasmania, and they've got a lot of really, really good resources. And I think we should devote one week, babe, to talking actually about Sheldon Solomon's book, Denial of Death, because I think that's key really in terms of why people find it so hard to accept the reality. We haven't really spoken about that so much on our show, so we'll definitely be delving into that a little bit deeper in the coming weeks. But it is now 8 o'clock. Collapsologists and fellow doomers and people who are just tuning in for the first time. It's 93.7 Edge FM. I'm Chris. I'm joined here by Cass. This is Music for the End of the World. And it is time for us to go home and have some dinner. We'll be back next week with the second part, the last part of my conversation with Kate and Tristan. Thanks so much, guys, down in Tasmania, Kate and Tristan. They were really, really, really nice and kind to let me have a chat with them and to give up their time on a Saturday, I think it was too, babe. So much appreciated. And we will be talking more things about Collapse next week. I'll play the rest of the interview with them. But for now, it is time for us to go. And as I always say, people, and as JustCollapse say, collapse is inevitable, but justice is not. So we can still fight for something. Isn't that right, babe?
Absolutely right.
Yeah. All right. So we're going to go out with, I always finish with a song. And see you all next week. Make sure you keep fostering those community relationships. Think local. Or listen to 93.7 Edge FM. And this song, I reckon it's a pretty good song for the time of the state of the world that we are in now. It is by Pop Staples. Have you heard of him, babe?
No, Pop Staples?
Yeah, Pop Staples. And the song is called No News is Good News, which basically sums it up, doesn't it? Because all the news you're getting, it ain't good, baby. So, good night, everyone. Take care. Here is Pop Staples with No News is Good News.
Night, everyone.
No news is good news. Yeah. Believe me when I say, I said, no news is good news. In this whole world today. Don't bring me a problem. I got problems of my own. Your marriage and crisis. Well, you are not alone. No need to know the reason why your family's not together. Spare me all the details. Well, the less I hear, the better. If it ain't one thing, there's always another. Every time I see you, it's this, that, and the other. The minute the trouble comes, knocking at your door, what do you feel? I should be the first to know. No news is good news. Yeah, believe me when I say, no news is good news. Well, in this old world today, too many sidewalks are stained with the blood of our precious children, yes, and those that we love. This actress in the paper, violence on TV, hatred on the radio, well, and crime in the street. Must our playgrounds be slave grounds? Don't you think it's time to put the gun down with a little more love? Maybe someday we can talk together without having to say, no news is good news. Well, believe me when I say, no news is good news. Well, it's this whole world today. If it ain't one thing, it's always another. Every time I see you, it's this, that, and the other. With a little more love, maybe someday we can talk